Guess he's just never gonna make another video. Suppose I should cancel the search party. What are you doing in my chair? I thought you had died or something, dude. What happened? Why haven't you made a video in over a year? I was getting this new hat. Did it take me that a year to get it? Nope, I'm not dead. Anyways, let's talk about Big Brother. I feel like nobody ever really talks about Big Brother 4. This sort of made me assume that this season was going to be bad. But after watching it, I don't really know what to think of it. It wasn't as good as Big Brother 3, but I think Big Brother 4 was still a step up from Big Brother 2. I know I'm getting confusing. I won't say that Big Brother 4 is one of my all-time favorite seasons, but I definitely found things to appreciate in the cast and the season's big twist. But let's just get this over with because the bottom of this list isn't the prettiest of cast rankings. Scott may be the most forgettable player to be expelled from the game. He didn't hold a knife to someone's throat, he didn't headbutt anyone, he didn't even revolt against production by tampering with cameras and microphones. He just got a little angry and threw a chair around. For those who don't know, Big Brother 4's main twist was called the X Factor, and started with 8 regular house guests, but after a few hours, 5 more players joined them. All 5 extra players were either an ex-boyfriend or girlfriend of someone else already in the house. When Scott's ex Amanda walked in, needless to say, he didn't handle it very well. When she started flirting with David, he handled that even worse. You know, he got a little angrier, threw a chair, maybe threatened bodily harm to another house guest maybe once, and production sent him packing before anyone had even been evicted yet. It all happened so fast. My guess is that this was, as it was still in the wake of the whole Justin Seabick incident from Big Brother 2, they didn't want to take any chances, and I don't blame production for not wanting to take any chances. Don't go too far, Scott. Your ex is right behind you. I don't have a ton to say about Amanda. David's grandma might, though. If you know, you know. I didn't have anything against her as a person or a player, but we just didn't really see a lot of her. The original 8 sort of stuck together week 1 and targeted the 5 exes. It only made sense from a numbers perspective. Why Nathan chose to target Amanda out of the other 5 exes, I have no idea, as she seemed to be ruffling the least amount of feathers of those exes. I guess maybe her sudden bond with David made her a threat to the original 8 alliance. I don't know, but either way, she was the first boot of the season if you don't count Scott's expulsion as an eviction. I would say that Michelle's fate can be credited to poorly thought out gameplay. It's week 2 in the Big Brother house and XG has one head of household. The original 8 are shaking in their boots because they fear that they're in danger. It's obviously clear that there's a line drawn in the sand, but G, for whatever reason, didn't just put up 2 original house guests. Instead, he put up Erica and Michelle with the idea that that Erica, the original house guest of the 2, would go. But did he not realize that they would all just vote to keep Erica safe? It's not like they had no choice but to vote off one of their own. Again, nothing against Michelle, it's just some of the early boots are always just victims of circumstance in this game. Like in all mega alliances on Big Brother, there has to be someone on the outside, someone who doesn't quite fit in with the rest of the alliance, someone who's the first one to turn on the others. That was Dana. She wasn't really well liked to begin with among the Elite 8, or whatever they called themselves, for whatever reason. And on top of that, she was in the early stages of a showmance with Justin, an ex. She also won the Week 3 head of household and realized that the exes were better for her game than the original house guests, so she went after Allison that week. But as we all know, Allison was a master manipulator and got Nathan to take her off with the veto, forcing her to betray not 1, but 2 people in her own alliance. The hits kept coming for Dana the following week as Allison won head of household and easily sent her home, as too many people wanted her out that her new friends in the exes just couldn't save her. I actually liked Dana, but it was her failed attempt at jumping ship that put her this low for me. David may not have had a strategic bone in his body, but hey, at least he was here to have a good time. He was actually in a great place for the first couple weeks as the Elite 8 was in power, but once Dana won head of household, it all went downhill for David. David was Dana's secondary target for whatever reason, and when Allison came off the block, it was David who took her place. Despite having a few votes to stay, there was no way David was staying next to Jack on the block, so he was evicted as the last pre-juror. So, yeah, he didn't do a ton, but at least he was entertaining to watch while he was there. Now we're getting into the players that actually sort of did something this season. Starting with Nathan, who was actually in a great place for the first half of the game. He had a lot of allies from his Elite 8 and was starting to form a good duo with Allison, a duo that would end up tarnishing his game. Allison was able to get Nathan to use the veto on her, proving to cement the duo alliance thingy they had. Fast forward to week 5, Justin, an ex, is head of household, putting up Jack and Nathan. Robert, another ex, wins veto and obviously doesn't use it. But now it's pretty clear that Nathan is the target this week, as he sort of begins to feel like a pariah, and suddenly Allison is just pretending that what they had wasn't real. Well, Nathan is evicted here unanimously, and you could tell he felt betrayed, especially by Allison. Speak of the devil, Allison may have had one of the best games this season, but it wasn't really all that respectable. She's probably one of the best master manipulators I've seen on the show, and she even admitted herself that she was a huge flirt in the house and used flirting to her advantage in the house. That's great and all. Definitely worked for her as she made it all the way to the final 2, but karma was going to come back to bite her pretty hard. You see, this season handled the jury a little differently. Before Big Brother 4, jurors could actually go home and watch the season unfold on TV as it was happening, but that was bad because it allowed how the show was edited for prime time to affect the jurors' decisions. This may have been the reason that Danielle Reyes didn't win Big Brother 3, because all the jurors came home and got to see the edited version of her game as this huge, like, kind of devil in disguise master manipulator, and they didn't like that. So this season they decided to sequester the jury in a nice house in Mexico. They didn't get to see the show until after they had cast their votes for the winner. This meant that the jury didn't see all the terrible things Allison said about her fellow castmates in the DR or behind their backs until they had already voted for a winner. So that worked out for her, right? Well, no, it didn't take the edited version of the show for the jury to realize that she was a pretty bad person in the house. And next to the other finalist, her game seemed pretty flashy and ruthless. It was sort of the same dynamic between Danielle and Lisa in the previous season, but this time easier to understand how the jury felt. So after all that lying and manipulating, Allison still came up short of the grand prize. She's just another reminder that being a great player is one thing, but you also have to be a good person in the house. I'm not saying that Allison is a terrible person in real life. As a matter of fact, I firmly believe that this game brings out the very worst in people. So she, along with every single Big Brother player who got painted as a jerk or mean in any way, are probably all wonderful people in real life. June was by far the best player of this season. Like Allison, June liked to play down the middle, jumping around whenever she'd be the safest each week. She actually made a final 2 deal with Allison because of how similar their games were. The only difference is June was better at it. Sure, they may have both been toxic in the house and said bad things, but June made up for it by being much more discreet and subtle about her strategy. Everyone knew that Allison was playing the game hard, but people were a little more uncertain about June. She also employed other smart strategies, like assuming the role of house cook, something that almost always guarantees some degree of safety. We've seen many seasons where if you're cooking a lot for the house, or you're just like doing things around the house, it's just like on Survivor. If you're doing a lot at camp, people will keep you for longer. Also, she secretly aligned herself with G, her ex. Doing all these things cleared a pretty good path for her to the end, where she wasn't really targeted that much the entire season. She's definitely not one of the best winners, definitely not one of my favorite winners, but as long as I can easily explain why she won and why she deserved to win, then she's a good winner in my book. The only reason she's so low is just because, like with Lisa on Big Brother 3, there were just other house guests that I liked more. At the epicenter of the X's was the Dream Team Alliance, or the Three Stooges as the rest of the house called them, and this alliance was made up of Justin, G, and Robert, the 3 male X's, and surprisingly this alliance did pretty well. Despite not being a super large alliance, they always had someone from the outside that supported them to some degree, like Dana, Allison, or June. The lowest ranked member of this alliance is Justin, for a couple of reasons. Justin was a great guy, but I sort of preferred G and Robert as they made for better TV. Justin was also the first one of them to be evicted, as in week 6 Erica won out of household and pretty much sealed the fate for one of the Stooges right there. The rest of the house wanted to get Justin out because he was a bigger threat than Robert, so sadly this was where his season ended. At least he got to spend the rest of the season making out with Dana in the jury house, so maybe it was a win for him anyways. With every season of Big Brother, the older male of the house just gets better and better. Kent was, in Big Brother 2, was funny but kind of abrasive. Jerry was also funny but kind of weird at times. And now we have Jack, the former FBI agent turned chronic comp loser. Everyone loved Jack. There was a reason why he survived so many evictions on the block. But despite being a lovable dude and staying out of the drama for the most part, it helped that he was one of the only house guests without an ex in the house. He was actually a decent strategist and player. I never thought he would win, but he made it pretty far. His fate was pretty much sealed week 7 when G won at HOH in an amazing comeback where he put up Jack and Erica. Erica, despite being a much larger threat than Jack, stayed because she had just recently formed an all-girls alliance with June and Allison, so Jack was finally evicted in 6th place. Sure, Erica wasn't free of sin in the house either, but she was a heck of a lot better than Allison or June, both in gameplay and personality. Erica didn't have to rely on constantly jumping sides or manipulating the other side of the house, because she was often safe anyways, even when her side wasn't in power. She survived a week to eviction because of the Elite 8 alliance, and from there on out just didn't really get targeted while running her own alliance with the scraps of the Elite 8 that remained loyal to her. She was on a fast track to winning the season when she got screwed up by the diamond power of Veto. It's week 9 in Robert's HOH. He puts up June and Allison, keeping his ex Erica safe. But then Allison won Veto, meaning that not only was Erica going up by default, but now Allison cast the sole vote to evict. Well, Allison was obviously closer to June, and Erica was a bigger threat to win, so she sent Erica packing in one of the saddest evictions of the season. Robert was hands down the biggest surprise of the season. At first, he gave me mad pre-jury vibes with how Erica described him and just sort of his arrogance at the beginning. But as the season progressed, he proved to be a pretty entertaining guy. Sure, he may have said some bad things in the house, but he always apologized after the fact, and it truly seemed like those words didn't reflect who he was as a person. He stole the hearts of viewers with his stories about his daughter and raising her as a single father, and overall, he was probably the most fun-to-watch guy in the house. He managed to become the last Stooge standing, making it all the way to the final 3 after such a rough and bumpy season for him. But after failing to secure the final HOH, Allison sent him packing, going back on the deal that she made with him. Say what you want about Allison or June, this was the season of G. He survived the very first eviction of the season, and from there, he never looked back. He immediately made the Elite 8 regret their decisions after winning the second HOH of the summer, and he started to make some big moves. His Dream Team alliance was protected in the weeks that followed as the Elite 8 imploded on itself, and even when his own ally Justin was sent home in week 6, he just kept going, winning his second HOH and taking out Jack. He finally ran out of road in the following week when June won Head of Household and finally turned on him, sending him home in 5th place. He was probably the best player this season other than June, and he was definitely one of the most likable house guests this season. He was just the cool dude in a house full of toxicity, and he's definitely one of my favorite Big Brother players of all time. So that's going to wrap it up for this Big Brother 4 cast review. Glad to be making videos again. I don't know if I was going to say why I stopped. I didn't really stop. I just got really busy. But I always kind of wanted to get back to making videos and stuff. So yeah, I'm happy to be back. I'm also giving a special shout out to some of my classmates because after I stopped making videos, this channel just sort of died and I stopped expecting people to like talk about it. But recently some people I go to school with found it and were like, "Hey, I found your old YouTube channel." And I don't know, like, it just kind of inspired me to start it back up again. So if you're one of the people that found this channel or that I showed this channel to in the past, like, year or so, thank you for, I don't know, supporting it or, like, liking what I do, I guess. But I'll be back with more videos, so like, comment, and subscribe.